All right, so you've spent years studying a language. You've got the grammar down. You can even hold your own in a basic conversation. But UT native speakers still sound like they're speaking a secret code sometimes.
It's intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah, what gives?
I think the reasons go beyond simply not knowing enough words. We're going to look at how your brain learns languages
Okay.
and what happens when textbook rules collide with the beautiful messiness of real-life speech.
I like that, the beautiful messiness.
Yeah.
You've got some great research on second language acquisition, SLA for short.
Mm-hmm.
And I can already tell this is going to be one of those deep dives with tons of light bulb moments.
For sure.
Get ready to rethink how you approach language learning.
Absolutely.
Okay, so...
Well, let's jump right into one of the biggest culprits.
Okay.
Connected speech. You know how what are you doing becomes what I doing in casual conversation.
Right.
Our brains are wired to find patterns, so when sounds blend,
Yeah.
get dropped or change completely, it throws us off.
Like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep changing shape.
Exactly.
No wonder we feel lost sometimes.
And it's not just about individual words being mushed together.
Oh.
Think about idioms, slang, all those expressions that carry cultural weight.
Mm-hmm.
Textbooks can teach you vocabulary.
Right.
But understanding the subtle nuances of spill the tea
Right.
or kick the bucket takes real-world exposure.
It's like everyone's in on a joke except you.
Exactly.
Speaking of feeling like an outsider, accents and dialects add another layer of complexity.
Absolutely. Even within the same language pronunciation vocabulary, even grammar can shift drastically depending on where someone is from.
Yeah.
Imagine studying standard British English, then encountering a thick Scottish accent.
Oh, yeah.
It can feel like a completely different language.
No, I've been there. It's humbling, to say the least.
It is.
And then there's the speed factor.
Yeah.
Native speakers often talk at a pace that leaves learners scrambling to catch up.
Yeah.
It's like trying to drink from a fire hose of words.
It's a combination of rapid delivery and those reductions and contractions we talked about earlier.
Right.
But here's the good news.
Okay.
Understanding the science behind how our brains acquire languages can give us some serious strategies for overcoming these challenges.
All right, bring on the science.
Okay.
What are some of the key insights from the world of SLA research that can help us crack the code of native speech?
One of the most influential theories is Michael Long's interaction hypothesis.
Yeah.
He found that real-time conversation is absolutely crucial for language development.
So ditching the textbook and finding a language partner isn't just a fun way to practice. It's actually backed by solid research.
Yes, exactly.
What about when we're not in a live conversation, like listening to a podcast or watching a movie?
That's where Stephen Krashen's comprehensible input hypothesis comes in.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Remember that time you watched a foreign film with subtitles?
Yeah.
And were surprised by how much you understood?
Yeah.
That's because the content was slightly above your current level. Challenging, but not overwhelming. Krashen calls this the I+1 sweet spot, where your brain is primed for making new connections.
So it's about finding that balance between pushing yourself and not getting completely lost.
Exactly.
But how do we know when we've hit that sweet spot?
It's about noticing where you are in the process.
Okay.
Richard Schmidt's noticing hypothesis emphasizes the importance of consciously paying attention to those tricky bits of language that trip us up.
Right.
The more we actively notice those contractions, reductions, and slang expressions, the better our brains become at processing them automatically.
So it's not just about passive listening, it's about active engagement.
Exactly.
Like training our ears to be linguistic detectives.
I love that analogy.
What other SLA gems do we have to help us decode native speech?
Research in cognitive linguistics has shown that repeated exposure is key.
Okay.
Think about how you learned your first language, not through grammar rules, but through constant immersion in the sounds and rhythms of the language.
Yeah.
That's the power of building automaticity.
Okay.
The more we hear certain sounds, words, and grammatical structures, the easier it becomes for our brains to process them effortlessly.
So creating an immersive environment, even if you're not living in a country where the language is spoken, can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
It's all about surrounding yourself with the language as much as possible.
Precisely.
And let's not forget about the social context of language learning.
No.
Vygotsky's sociocultural theory reminds us that we learn best within our zone of proximal development. That's the sweet spot where we can stretch our abilities with the support of others who are a little more advanced.
Yeah.
Think language partners, study groups, or even online communities where you can practice and get feedback.
Absolutely.
It's like having a linguistic safety net as you venture into more challenging territory.
I love that.
This all highlights how much language learning is about more than just memorizing words and grammar rules.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how our brains work, finding the right strategies, and creating an environment that supports genuine acquisition.
Absolutely. And, speaking of creating a supportive learning environment, there's a tool I want to mention briefly called Lang Magic. Lang Magic leverages the power of YouTube, which is already a fantastic resource for language learners.
Yeah?
It uses AI to create personalized prompts, explanations, and even quizzes based on the videos you choose.
I love that it taps into content people are already watching.
Yeah,
It's like turning your favorite YouTube channels into language learning tools.
exactly. And because it's powered by AI, it can adapt to your level and learning style.
Oh, cool.
It can even provide transcripts, translations, and examples of how words and phrases are used in different contexts.
It's like having a personal language tutor who's always available and knows exactly what you need to work on.
That's a great analogy.